Javed Rana is joining us now from Islamabad to discuss the latest updates from there and neighbouring Afghanistan, where hundreds of people have been killed after today's massive 5.9 magnitude earthquake. Good afternoon, good morning rather, Javed. Thanks for joining us on the programme.
Thank you.
Now, Afghanistan is already facing numerous problems, and this earthquake will just add to the troubles being faced by the people there. Now, what's the latest that we know?
Well, the tremors were felt all over the region. It's Pakistan, India, Afghanistan was obviously was hit most. I think that the eastern parts of Afghanistan, which is a northwest of Pakistan, probably some 300 kilometers away from Islamabad, from where I'm right now talking, I think that was the epicenter of the tremors. And there are three provinces, Paktika, Host particularly, I think where there were mud-dwelling houses, those have been hit hard. And given the fact that the infrastructure in Afghanistan is very weak, mostly people in the bordering region with Pakistan, they have built up their houses with mud. That means that those houses have little capacity and little resistance to face or withstand the tremors. So I think obviously there was a greater likelihood that many of those mud dwellings would have fallen down, which means many of the people would have come down still because this tremors actually happened at 1 p.m., at around 1 p.m. Local time in Afghanistan. This means that around 12 hours have passed, and it would take the emergency aid workers to reach to these remote regions. These are the mountainous regions, zigzag mountainous region, and the pathways leading to those regions are not so easy. So let's see how things unfold, but certainly Afghan Taliban are providing them aid, whatever they can do it. They have been very efficient in the past in the similar situation, but we have to understand the bigger picture which have developed after the disgraceful exit of Americans from Afghanistan last year, that the infrastructure in Afghanistan is a very weak. The country is already facing economic turmoil. There are limited resources that the new government has at its disposal, but certainly they have the determination to cope with the situation.
Okay, actually, I wanted to hone in a little bit more on what you just highlighted there. The country has been facing rather unsettling times since the takeover by the Taliban in the country. What has the crisis response to this earthquake been like so far?
Well, generally, the reputation of Taliban is that they are very efficient. I mean, they restore law and order situation in Afghanistan after 20 years, which Americans failed to do it. I think in a similar manner, they have been providing aid to the people. And they are telling people that the international media is exaggerating the scale of the economic problems and the scale of the poverty in Afghanistan. And generally perception about Taliban in Afghanistan, I'm talking about the common people, that they're providing help to them more than what the previous government was doing. This obviously means that they will be able to rescue these people, but certainly we have to understand the terrain in Afghanistan. It's a zigzag mountainous region where the earthquake has happened. So reaching that place takes time. Reaching that place require resources, and the international aid agencies and the Western countries have not been forthcoming because of political reasons. But my understanding of the situation is certainly Afghan Taliban administration, they will be far more helpful to the victims than those of the previous government, the officials of which were riddled with the corruption and incompetence. Members of the Taliban are very committed, determined, and competent. And they have proven their skills and they have proven their mettle during their first stint of the government from 1996 to 2001. And I think during last almost now 8-9 months in part, they have turned out to be very helpful to the people. Let's see how things unfold. We don't know right now as we speak the real scale of the the crisis that has occurred in Afghanistan. And remember, there is already a flood season in this entire region, Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, and I fear that there would be a similar situation in the neighboring Afghanistan in days and weeks to come. So it's a quite challenging and tough situation for the Afghan Taliban to cope with.
Okay, all right. Now, tremors were also felt in Pakistan. How's the situation in Islamabad and nearby areas there? Are there any reports of casualties or damage?
Well, the tremors were not felt with as much intensity as these were felt in the Peshawar, which is a neighboring region of Afghanistan, and other parts of Pakistan's tribal belt along Afghanistan border. So far, we have not received any report of damages or casualties in Pakistan. But again, this situation still remains unclear. But my understanding is that the epicenter is in Afghanistan, and the fact that the infrastructure, the houses particularly, they are very weak in terms of their foundation. They are made of the mud. So obviously the damage would be there. In Pakistan, situation is different. People have their brick houses, so they have more resistance to the tremors like this.
Okay. Now, Pakistan's always supported Afghanistan whenever it's faced shortcomings. How will the government tend to Afghans during this time?
We haven't heard any word from the government so far, but certainly the government's help would be very forthcoming. And remember that Pakistan shares around 27-kilometer long zigzag porous border with Afghanistan. It becomes very difficult to make this distinction which parts belong to Pakistan and which part belongs to Afghanistan. There are the tribal families living on the both sides, and I think the first help is likely to come from the tribal families because they are interconnected. They have their families, they have the intermarriages over there. So I think that would be the first help. And then the aid agencies from Pakistan would certainly go there with the help that their brothers in Afghanistan need.
Okay, thank you very much, Javed, for joining us once again. It's always a pleasure having you on NewsHour.
Thank you.